All right, so after all that we discussed today, pros and cons and all, am I going to make the switch from Twitter to Instagram? The answer to that is... Hey, what's going on, guys? So today I just wanted to do a video quickly on this whole switching from Twitter to Instagram in terms of being a photographer and being an artist and designer. However, if you do fall under other categories, you can also make the switch as well if you really wanted to. But here are some pros and cons of today for switching to Twitter instead of using Instagram to gain some followers and gain some traction for being a photographer and being a creator in general. All right, so let's go over some of the pros here. The first pro we're going to talk about is organic reach. Twitter just seems to have more organic reach because of the fact that there's so many people on there tweeting every single day. I honestly still don't know the whole gist of tweeting. I am not a heavy user of Twitter myself. Like, I don't just tweet random things like I'm getting a coffee right now, which is kind of funny because I don't drink coffee. But anyways, you know, people just seem to put what they think in the moment and tweet it. And I think that is the beauty of Twitter. And that's how that works. I mean, I don't get it. But anyways, that's how that works. So I think the reach is pretty organic. I mean, people reply to it. They, you know, either they agree with it or disagree with it. And I think a good segue to the next point is authenticity. And I think people on there are very authentic. The engagement that you have with these people, liking your post, you know, retweeting, quote retweet is a thing I found out pretty late. But anyways, that is a thing. And then you can comment on individual posts. And now they have released Fleet, which is kind of like Instagram stories. So if you are familiar with Instagram stories, you'll know Fleet pretty well. You can just pretty much repurpose your content from all your platforms and to be able to use it on multiple different story type features and multiple different apps. Now, the next one is potential to grow. Now, the reason why I put this up there is, you know, it's kind of obvious. No matter what platform you go to, the potential to grow is exponential depending on how much work you're willing to put into it and how patient you are. But also, Twitter is putting out new features. They seem to be the ones that are lagging a little bit behind the others when it comes to features. But, you know, having Fleet that are like stories, and then now they have Spaces, which if you haven't used Clubhouse, I'm on Clubhouse as well, but I don't really go on it too much. So if you don't know what Clubhouse is, it's basically a voice feature where you can authentically talk to people when they make rooms, and you can talk to celebrities and famous influencers, YouTubers, artists, singers, no matter what purpose they are on there for, they're on there and you can go talk to them. And that's the great thing about it. It's kind of like doing a live podcast session. So that is kind of their concept. However, Twitter took that and basically replicated it, and now they call it Spaces. Now you can talk to your favorite people on Twitter in Spaces, and that'll be pretty awesome for you to go in there and chat with them when you get a chance to. But besides being able to talk to your favorite people, it is great for you to host your own space and to be able to communicate with people within your own niche. So if you're a photographer, you would open up something to do with photography, maybe a certain niche like street photography, and then gather a community of people that you can relate to, and thus you can actually gain followers from that base of photographers that you created. Now, the final pro that I see here comparatively to Instagram is when you do post your photos, they do have a little bit of a collage setting. So when you go and post more than one photo, so let's say you post two photos, they're going to be side by side. A lot of people actually do this trending thing right now for photographers where one photo would be the spot that they chose, and then the other one is the actual shot within that spot that they chose. So it's kind of like a before and after type of thing. So that is pretty trendy right now if you're a photographer to do that, or if you're not a photographer, you can do the same as well. So that is something that's trending right now, and you can kind of hop on that bandwagon and gain some followers potentially from that. But besides that, there is a whole system with collages where if you post more than two photos, it's going to start cropping your photos. All right, so for example, let's say you want to post 3 different types of portrait layout photos. And I'm not saying portrait photography because it's just a layout vertical format. And so when you choose 3 of them, what's going to happen on the left-hand side when you do post it is going to be the full portrait, except it's going to be a bit cropped off as well. So just keep that in mind. Make sure whatever's in the focal point of your photo, you keep that cropped into the middle. And then the other 2 photos are going to look landscape. The only reason why is because Twitter actually stacks them together. So they're going to crop even further into almost a 16:9 format. But when you tap on it, it's going to show the entirety of the portrait layout. So obviously that is kind of like leading up to a con, which it is. So my first con would be the fact that it does crop your images. But however, comparatively to Instagram, where you can post about 10 carousel photos, I don't know. I don't know the trade-off because of the fact that yes, you can post 10 carousels, but who actually does go through 10 carousel photos? I don't know. So for me to be able to see 3 photos right up there and to be able to tell like, okay, so this person has 3 photos that they posted, I think that's pretty great. However, if you post 4 photos, that's going to crop all of them down to almost a 16:9 landscape type. But then when you tap on it, obviously it's going to go on the full portrait style. So you don't have to worry about that. It's just when you post, you're going to see 4 stacked on top of each other. So that's pretty much what you get. But there is a trade-off, whether you get 10 carousel or maximum of 4 photos when you do tweet photos. So since we're on the cons now, I'm just going to talk about the main con here is for people who do follow for follow. Follow for follow actually does still work in this day and age for Instagram, but it is pretty limiting because there is shadow banning and you get banned by Instagram potentially completely altogether. So just be careful of that. But on Twitter itself, it is extremely hard to grow like that because Twitter not only is strict, but it's also more authentic people on there. So when they know that there's people that are just spamming for follows, then people just don't tend to go for those type of leads. So you're going to have a struggle. So if you are a follow for follow type of person, Twitter probably isn't the place to do it. However, you still can do it. If you want to authentically follow that person in hopes for that person to follow you back, then still do it. It's fine. But if you're just spamming follows, then yeah, good luck to you. But, you know, that's not my advice. All right, so the final con of this entire Twitter thing is it is a grind. I think, to be honest, it may be a harder grind than Instagram because of the fact that there are other strategies that you can use on Instagram that isn't really applicable to Twitter. And Twitter, I've had it for some years. I've never actually tried to grow it per se, but it is a struggle to actually grind and to be able to tweet every single day. And think of it being like TikTok, where you are posting like 3-4 times a day, but doing it for not video purposes, just text-based purpose, and doing some photos and video along the way with it. But when it comes to posting photos, the one only tip I give to you for photographers out there is not post photos every single day. You don't have to do that. You can put tweets in between, which are just words, but I wouldn't post meaningless tweets like you going to get a coffee. I mean, sure, great, you are going to go get a coffee. There might be some people that relate to you, but otherwise I would try to tweet something that is actually meaningful, that may give people value, because giving value is something that we creators should be doing for our audience, because they are taking the time to watch your content, to view it, to read everything that you got to say, and the least that we can do is give some value to them. So please save your going to get a coffee tweets and post something that is giving value to your viewers. All right, so after all that we discussed today, pros and cons and all, am I going to make the switch from Twitter to Instagram? The answer to that is I'm not going to make a complete switch. Now, the reason why I say I'm not going to make a total switch is because having multiple different social media accounts on different platforms is actually a good thing, because you are reaching different audiences when you are on a certain platform. The platform that you are on with Instagram and reaching different people of audience there, and versus Twitter and the audience that you gather from there are going to be 2 different audiences. But if they do know what your niche is, they might be interested in that one common subject. So depending on if you can find that audience, you are going to gather a similar type of audience altogether, that one common liking, and that just may happen to be photography or art or singing or whatever your talent is and you're trying to get a following from. That may be a common ground that you find with your different platform followers. But that's it for me, guys. If you guys like this video, please smash the like button, consider subscribing if you are new, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace out.